Riot is always trying to do some sneaky sneak under the table type stuff, man. Every patch, every season, it's always some under the table type stuff. Welcome back everyone to another Coach Blicker video. Today we're going to be going over everything jungle changes for this preseason. We're going to be going over the pets, what they do, the leash range. We're going to be going over counter jungling. Can we even counter jungle anymore? We're going to be going over exactly what all this means, how it affects the jungle, and was it the right or wrong decision? So the goal of the jungle changes was to make it easier for newcomers while not having a limit on the skill ceiling of the role. Experienced junglers do not want it to be so easy to the point where if you're good, it doesn't matter. At the same time, new players don't want the role to be too hard where if you try to get into it, you're going to lose anyway. So they try to fix this with these new jungle changes. Whether or not it worked, it's to be determined, but let's get into it. Now, if you're like me, going through changes is annoying, especially when there's so much changing. So if you're finding it difficult to adjust, if you're finding it difficult to apply these concepts to this new jungle, and you really don't know where to go or what to do, I highly recommend booking a session at coachbooker.com. That way you're not forced to play hundreds and hundreds of games trying to learn something and implement something that you could do in 15 minutes. It's a game changer, I'm telling you now. Try it out for yourself, coachbooker.com. So the old jungle item that you used to buy, the blue and red knife, they're no longer there. We now buy eggs. These eggs house those pets, and each pet has their own ability once they fully evolve. As far as these pets being there, they're not really noticeable. Honestly, in my opinion, I just tend to forget about them. I'm too focused on the actual game itself. Now, a lot of people may be put off about this little pet thing, but for those of you that have been here before, this pet thing is not really anything new. We used to have an item called Furrow Flare for junglers, and it was really just for power farming junglers. There would be a little wolf that would follow you and it would start off really, really tiny. And the more treats you gave it, basically the more camps you farmed, the bigger it got. Once it evolved, it would give you bonus attack speed, and it would also give you a phantom hit. Pretty much like the Gwynsu's Rage Blade that we see now, that's what it gave you before. So this pet thing isn't really new to us. The difference being is that these pets give you a different way to play your champion and a different way to play the map, pretty much like keystones. Pets evolve after feeding it treats. Treats are basically clearing your camps. After you clear your camps to a certain degree, they will fully evolve and they will give you a special ability. I'm not going to go into too specifics on the numbers and what they do. I'm just going to talk about it broadly. If you guys are interested in those numbers, make sure you check out the patch notes coming to you soon, but I just want to keep it broad so it's a shorter video. So Moss Stomper gives you a shield with tenacity and slow resistance. As long as the shield is active, you get the tenacity and the slow resistance. Scorch Claw gives you a passive. Basically, if you think of Fleet of Footwork or Static Shiv, the more you move around, the more stacks you get. On top of this, you get more stacks if you clear your camp. At 100 stacks, it basically gives you an AoE red buff. When you hit something, it's going to disperse a little bit shorter range of the Sunfire Cape, a little bit shorter range, and it's going to slow and damage players all in that circle. And when you attack them, it's not going to be around your champion, it's going to be around what you attacked. So if I'm range, I will hit and the AoE will disperse around them, not around me. And the final one that we have is Gust Walker. Gust Walker gives you movement speed when you enter bushes. It's a burst of movement speed. It's actually pretty nasty. It's basically like Nidalee's passive. If you've ever played Nidalee, Nidalee will go into a bush and she gets bonus movement speed for being in that bush. That's pretty much what Gust Walker does. Also, they all come with a little passive where after 60 seconds, you give them a bonus treat. So a camp that is usually worth 1 treat will now be worth 2. And you get a bonus 50 gold as well. So this is for junglers that maybe not be that quick at clearing. You still get a treat every now and then extra because, you know, it stacks up over that minute. Granted, if you are a fast clearing jungler, it's gonna be real for you. Now, each pet with their own ability comes with a unique way to play, not just the game, but also play your champion. So as an example, if I were to get the shield and tenacity, you know, I'd be putting it on frontliners, things that are really prone to getting CC'd. But that's not always the case. You can also put it on things like Xin Zhao. You know, it's basically, you can pick and choose which one you want per game. And I do like that. It's kind of like a little in-game keystone. And that is something that a lot of players should take into consideration. Again, this is something that will elevate your gameplay as a jungler to the highest level. Thinking about things like this and changing your pick of pet depending on situation is insane. Gust Walker is another example of that, where it gives you that movement speed in bushes. So as an example, if you are a squishy champ like Master Yi or Lilia, you know, these champions that are very prone to being invaded, having this Gust Walker allows you to be able to get out of there before they can catch you, which makes it very, very easy for you to farm your jungler safer while also allowing yourself the ability to traverse the map quicker. So these pets are not only just pets, but they are also unique ways to play the game. So a jungler that is really smart, a jungler that knows what they're doing, will know which pet is the right pet to optimize per that game. That right there is already a shot to which jungler is going to be the best. And when you pick the right one, oh, it matters. So I highly recommend that you get used to that. Again, if you're unsure, coachbucket.com is where you want to go, book those sessions, get better like that. Next thing I want to talk about is leash ranges. But before I talk about that, I just want to show you guys what it actually looks like in game. Maybe you guys haven't been in the jungle yet, but pretty much this is what it looks like. When you pick the actual thing, it gives you the pet like you see right there, and it follows you around. It does it for every single one. See this little blue one, and there's a little red one. Now I have jungled with every single jungler in this game in terms of farming junglers, ganking junglers, tank junglers. Like, they all pretty much play how they're supposed to play. I haven't ran into any problems with the leash range based off of those champions. And with playing Talia doing it, it was actually a test to see, will these leash ranges like screw me up? Because Talia cannot just sit and tank jungle camps. She definitely needs to be able to move around. So that was one of the first things that I initially thought of. So the leash range for the red buff is actually a lot smaller than the leash range for the other camps. As we see, this is the leash range. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is a very, very faint circle. If you walk out of that range, you break the leash and it starts counting down. Once it counts down, the leash will break and it'll walk back. Now, one of the cool things that I do like about this little leash range is that when you do pull it, it's soft resets. Soft resets mean when it goes back, it doesn't heal up completely. Back in the day, which was before this patch, when things reset, they go back to full HP like that. But now it gives you a little second to get them back. So this is what it looks like. So we're getting it low, and you see how it kind of doesn't go fully. It just healed up just a smidge. But if you broke the leash before, they reset really quickly and it's a pain. But now they don't do that. So look at the range. The range is actually a lot shorter. Before, you're able to walk the jungle camp really far. You're able to walk it like this, and then you're able to take it over here. Like, the range is definitely shorter. Now, there is a positive and negative to this. The negative is, well, kiting camps require a lot more control. Again, this is something where better junglers don't have an issue. I personally didn't have an issue with these leash ranges because I know how to control the jungle camp from going where they need to go. So I didn't really have a problem. But I know a lot of you guys that are junglers that have a hard time actually controlling where the camp goes and controlling what the camp does. This is very frustrating. So the cool part is, Riot is kind of teaching you how to do it right. And I do like that. I do like that. They're teaching you how to kite properly. They're teaching you how to do it correctly so that way you don't screw yourself. I really do like that. Now, the upside to this leash range, if you notice, is that if a jungler were to invade you and they were chasing you off, you're able to break this leash so that they can't get your camp. This allows you to have bonus time for your teammates to rotate. I actually really, really do like this because a lot of the times your teammates don't pay attention fast enough and they take your camp. A lot of the times they can take your camp and you find them, and if you're gonna chase them off, they will break the leash and a reset. This gives you a lot of control over your camp being taken, and I do like that. It doesn't feel like you're helpless anymore. It feels like as long as you can break that leash, your buff is going to be safe, and if they continue to mess with you, your team is going to rotate and kill them. So I really, really, really like that. Again, this isn't really an issue for me in terms of the camp resetting because it's all about control. If you guys are experienced junglers, you guys know, like, controlling them in the leash range isn't really much of an issue. It's for the newer junglers or the junglers that never really put much thought into how you control your jungle camp, because as you see here, it's not really a problem. I can still kite it around and it's not going to break leash. So that's one of the things that I've noticed for the buffs, and that's one of the, I think, more interesting things people complain about. And if you actually get it low enough, you can still double camp. So I'll give you an example right here. So this is going to be me attempting to double camp, because remember, it doesn't hard reset, it's soft reset, so it gives you time to really kill things. You just got to make sure that's low enough. So let me see if I can pull it off. So I could just pull it off. See what I mean? So you could technically still double camp. It's just you are going to you're going to again more control over these camps, and that's what I like. I actually do like there's a lot of skill into that. You guys may not think about it this way, but in high elo, a lot of the things matter that you do as a jungler, and saving time is huge. So if you can know how to save time, whereas the other junglers like has to go to this zone, stay in this zone, and then once they're done, they go over here. Like, if you know how to just manipulate these camps to do your bidding, oh my gosh. Again, if you have trouble with that, coachbucket.com can teach you that. I keep plugging, I know. Hey, it's what I do, it's my job. And that's the sneaky stuff I was talking about earlier, is that Riot underhandedly is trying to get us in the mindset of learning without even telling us that that's what they're doing. With having the strict leash range, and they might make it bigger, who knows, based off the community feedback. It is preseason. I wouldn't write off Riot. They're usually pretty good at changing what we want to be changed, as long as it makes sense. It's teaching you how to not break the leash. Before, the leash we would never be able to see. And honestly, with these other camps, this is about the leash range. So a lot of people may be like, well, the leash is too small. This is about the range. You could have pulled those camps out anyway. We just didn't know. Same thing for the wolves, right? Same thing for the wolves. This is about the range where you could pull them. And now you might be thinking, well, you used to be able to pull them all the way out. You're right, but you see there's a little timer. And that's the same timer you would get pulling them out. You just wouldn't see it go down how it's going down. It would be different. And so I really think people might be over exaggerating with these ranges. They just didn't know what it looked like. Again, if you're a high-elo player, this isn't really new. You knew what the range was because you're a high-elo player. You understand the leash range, period. So again, it's the same thing here. Now this one is a little bit shorter. I think this one's just preventing players from double camping, so it is a little bit smaller, but the other ranges are normal. But again, if you are good at manipulating your camps, you can 100% double camp still. It's just at a lower percentage of HP. This allows it so that everybody can pretty much be on the same page. A lot of the times, if you are playing a jungler that is slower than another jungler, as an example, if I were to play Warwick into a Kayn or into an Udyr, it's very painful because those champions are very good at double camping and clearing everything. This slows them down a bit, so it at least gives you time to react. So this is what I do like. People that actually play those double camp clearing champions are probably very upset, but in the grand scheme of fairness, it is still important that we, slow it down a little bit for players that are just inexperienced or players that are playing champs that are just very slow. So as far as counter jungling goes, it didn't really change much. Riot is trying to incentivize you to clear your own camps. They're giving you a bonus 20% HP to clear your own camps. Now, if we take this into the enemy side, the bonus damage is not there. That doesn't mean you're getting your damage reduced. It just means you don't have the bonus damage. It's still the same damage factor. Now, the reason why people counter jungle, we counter jungle to get more gold, we counter jungle to get more experience, and we counter jungle to put the enemy behind. If they don't have a camp, they can't farm that camp. That is all still true within this season. On top of that, you're speeding up feeding your pet. The more camps you get, the more it is going to eat. The more it eats, the faster it's going to evolve. A jungler that has a poor clear pattern is going to be put behind like crazy. Your smite starts at 600. After you're done feeding it 20 treats, it goes to 900. After that, it goes to 1200. If the enemy jungler does not clear properly, and you are taking camps, you are screwing them over with each and every dragon and each and every Rift Herald. They are not able to play. That's one of the main things that is a very, very bad thing as a jungler. Your job as a jungler is to secure objectives. All I have to do is counter jungle and you're useless? Not only are you useless in gold and experience, but you're useless as well in actually being able to contest objectives? That's a huge put behind. On top of that, evolving is how they get their abilities. So you're not only basically making it so that their pet is beyond useless, but you're also making it so they can't contest objectives. They're losing gold and experience. And if they continue to gank to get themselves ahead, it doesn't even matter. The person that's clearing the jungle properly is the one that's still going to be ahead because of the fact of that dang smite. So the days where the jungler just perma-ganks and gets fed is gone. If they do that, they're actually putting themselves so behind, it's crazy. Now, does that mean they can't do objectives? No, but that means they are risking having every single objective stolen because their smite is not upgraded. And I mean every objective. There's no way someone is going to miss smite 900 to 600. There's no way someone's going to miss smite 1200 from 600 or 900. You are going to be put behind. So as much as players think that this jungle change is I'm telling you, be in a situation where the jungler knows what they're doing, and I promise you're going to feel the wrath of not having your pet evolved. You're going to feel the wrath of not having upgraded smite. You're going to feel the wrath of everything. Now, as I said, one of the main complaints that I hear about is just this leash range. And again, it's the same size. The only thing is it's slowing down people double clearing, which is good because this allows your laners to actually lane without being ganked, especially by things that are fast. And it also gives the player that didn't select a fast clearing champion to be able to keep up. That was one of the worst parts about it. For those of you that one trick probably don't know that feeling, but for those of you that, you know, are going into really speedy clearing junglers, it's one of the worst feelings in the world because you feel like you can't play because they're too fast. So hopefully that does prevent a lot of that from happening. Overall, I think this was a good jungle change. Overall, it doesn't make it so that the new player is just all out going to be better. Again, the better jungler will still win, I promise you. And it's even more punishing now if you get counter jungled. Like it's insanely punishing if you get counter jungled. So they did take away the entry level barrier. They took away how hard it is to get into jungle, but they increased how much more punishing it is to go against someone better than you. Don't listen to all the wee woo and complaining about change. Don't be one of the people that have take it at face value and think it's the worst. I'm telling you right now, it is for the better. I'm telling you right now, if you're having problems with jungle right now, it's because you're not at that level where this wouldn't matter to you. If you are a high elo player, you might not like the changes, but it's not hard at all to adjust because you're already used to those least ranges. You're already used to clearing on time. You're already used to being punished if you don't clear on time. These are just things you already are used to. So these little changes don't really impact much at all. Whereas players that are in the lower spectrum, you know, you guys have a hard time clearing camps. You guys waste a lot of time. You guys have a hard time breaking leash. You guys have a hard time controlling the camps. You guys have a hard time with your timers. You guys have a lot more struggles. And with these changes, it brings them to the light. And it also makes it so you have to improve on them to get better at jungling. So I do like that because it's like a little training program. Again, you guys might not think so, but trust me, this is for the best. If you guys are having issues with jungle and you guys feel like this patch makes it really, really hard for you to play the game, again, book a coaching session at coachblaker.com. It's ways of just figuring things out in 15 minutes than it is playing 50 to 100 games trying to figure it out yourself. Jungle changes were the best, and I really do hope Riot listens to us about like changing leash ranges or changing numbers and things like that. But I think as an overall, they hit the nail on the head with what they needed to do to make jungle interesting, but also make it so that it's more interactive. There was already more to jungling than walking around smiting camps and whatnot, but now they put more emphasis on clearing, as well as not getting rid of the macro portion of how to play the game as a jungler, as a good jungler. So I actually really do like this. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time, you know what I always say. Thank you for what? Approaching this like a coach.